How are we doing, Bulls Nation? We are in that time of year where it's a bit of a downturn in the NBA news and content world. For me personally, I'm counting down the days for when Bulls basketball is back, which we actually did just receive the release of the Bulls preseason schedule starting on October 4th. But with that lull in the season, hopefully you're able to get your fix for some Bulls content here on the channel. If you are new around here and you enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe, as about 47% of you are not subscribed to the channel. And given I'm trying to reach 30,000 subscribers before the start of the season, it would mean a great deal to me, and in return, I'll be giving you guys content all season long. But anyway, because it is a slower stretch in the NBA season, the other day I had asked in a community post for you guys to leave me some of your would you rathers for me in a future video, as I haven't done one of these in a while, so that's what we'll be going over in this one. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Our first one comes to us from CV Productions. Would you rather have Phil Jackson or Steve Kerr as the Bulls head coach? Wow, that's an interesting one. I mean, I guess it depends on if we're talking about Phil Jackson now or Phil Jackson of the 90s in the prime of his coaching days, because I don't know about how well Phil Jackson's coaching abilities would translate now, given the fact that he's 76 years old. Yes, Phil Jackson is 76 years old. He also hasn't coached in over a decade. He was an executive in the front office for the Knicks for a few years more recently before being let go, which was kind of a disaster during his time there. He gave Noah that horrible contract after he was already well past his prime, among a lot of other bad moves, but it is the Knicks. They are known for their terribly led front offices. But either way, if we're talking about Phil Jackson now, no, I would have to take Steve Kerr. Kerr is actually such a great head coach, an amazing basketball mind with his abilities to make in-game adjustments. I know he's had superstar level players for most of his coaching career, but the Warriors really had no business winning the championship this season, and they won it pretty handily, despite their core being much older than their earlier championship days, and obviously without Kevin Durant. But if we're talking about Phil Jackson of the 90s coaching the Bulls, or even when he was with the Lakers later on in his career, I would probably still take Phil in that instance, just because he's arguably the greatest coach of all time. Really, Greg Popovich is the only coach I could put ahead of Jackson when ranking all-time coaches. Next, we've got David Mays. Would you rather have a healthy Lonzo for the entire season or have Vucevic play like the all-star that we traded for? Wow, that's a good one and really tough to answer, because on one hand, and if you caught my last video, you already heard a little bit about this, but I believe that this upcoming season is actually going to be the most important for Vucevic compared to any other player on the Bulls roster. I've said it time and time again that Vucevic is the X factor on this team because of his ability to draw double teams away from DeMar and Zach when Vuce is at his best anyway. He presents another scoring threat for the Bulls when he's shooting consistently, which we didn't see last year, and more importantly, he was really the only Bulls true big man that was actually serviceable anyway, who can crash the boards. Now, it changes a bit when the Bulls added Andre Drummond, but the fact still remains that Vucevic playing at an all-star level is imperative for the Bulls to really take that next step in being a true contender, because anytime you have three all-stars on your roster, three guys who can be go-to scoring options, you're going to be right up there at the top of the pack in the standings. But on the other hand, man, Lonzo being healthy for a whole season, to have his defense, his high IQ, and running the floor in transition, which the Bulls were so great at last season with their up-tempo offense and heavy ball movement before Lonzo Ball got injured. Like, that type of offense really is hard to execute without Lonzo, who has that impeccable full court vision. And honestly, to have Lonzo healthy for a full season, like, he hasn't been able to stay healthy in any of his seasons in the NBA. And even if Vooch isn't playing like his all-star days when he was with the Magic, he's still a high-level player putting up 18 and 11, and you add Lonzo Ball to that, fully healthy for the whole season, man, that's tough. I really lean more towards wanting a healthy Lonzo for a full season, as long as it wouldn't mean that Vooch would take an even further decline than what we saw. Basically, if he was still able to be a productive player and scoring 18 points and still one of the best rebounders in the game, then yeah, I'm all in for Lonzo staying healthy for the full season over Vucevic playing like an all-star, just because a healthy Lonzo would really give us a more well-rounded roster, especially on the defensive end, than just, three elite level scorers. That is a hard one though. I'd be curious to know what others would prefer. Let me know in the comments on that one. Next, we've got Charlie Kim. Would you rather have prime D Rose back in today's team or a prime Pippen and prime Rodman? This one is actually pretty easy for me because yes, prime Derrick Rose is better than a prime Pippen and prime Rodman individually. The fact of the matter is the Bulls have scorers. They have guys on offense who can create their own shot, super athletic guys on offense. And of course, the Bulls already have enough guards as it is. That doesn't take anything away from Derrick Rose because he's arguably the second greatest Bulls player of all time when you're looking at his prime years anyway. But what does this Bulls team need more than anything? Elite level defenders who have that dog-like mentality that won't stop no matter what the score is, that will keep hustling and fighting for every loose ball. And not only that, you're talking about both of them together. There's just no way I could pass on that, even despite the fact that you're talking about Derrick Rose was a better player between both of them at his peak. He's not better than both of them combined, especially when you factor in the construction of this Bulls roster and what they need at the present time. Next, we've got Kala with what you see from the roster now. Would you rather keep what we have or went all in for Rudy before we knew what the price was that Minnesota gave? Assuming we hypothetically offered a Vucevic, Coby, and Pat package. I mean, it's hard to determine that now, right? Because we know what the price was for Gobert with the mountain of picks that the Wolves had to give up to get him, which the Bulls didn't have. And to be honest, that was way too much to give up for Gobert. Like, as much as I wanted Gobert, I was all for the Bulls going all in to get him, and I actually thought it was going to be a realistic target for them to acquire. No way would I have wanted to mortgage our entire future on Rudy Gobert. But again, assuming a package of just Vucevic, Coby, and Patrick Williams, I mean, the only part of that package that gives me pause is including Pat because he's still just so young with a lot of untapped potential. But if it was just that, yeah, I think I would have rather the Bulls gone in the direction of getting Gobert than having the roster that we have now and keeping our core and adding in Drummond and Dragic. Because I truly do believe that Gobert would have thrived on this roster being around strong perimeter defenders compared to what he had in Utah, and to have also two high-level scorers in Lavine and DeRozan that might mask his limited offensive abilities. I think it would have been a perfect move for the Bulls to make them true contenders. I know some won't agree with that because they think Gobert is overrated and that his contract is horrendous. I do agree on the contract front, but he would be exactly what the Bulls need in every way possible, given they struggled so much with rim protection last season and defending the pick and roll. Next, we've got mixed season. Would you rather start Goran over Ayo if Lonzo isn't ready to go? Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that, and Lonzo will be fine by the time the season starts, given it'll be damn near 10 months since the last time he played in a game by the time the first game rolls around this season. But in the very unfortunate event that Lonzo isn't ready to start the season, I mean, my bias is that I would like for them to start Ayo just because I really like Ayo and want him to continue to develop. I think despite how young he is, he's a very mature and smart player, carries himself well, and just in rising to the occasion of needing to start when guys are out. We saw that a lot last season, but I think it's probably going to make more sense starting Goran with his level of experience, the fact that he's more of a true point guard than Ayo is, and we all know Billy Donovan likes his veterans and would probably go with Goran anyway. But it also kind of just depends on how Dragic shows up in training camp. Like, the guy is 36 years old, hasn't played a lot in recent years. We'll see what he has left in the tank. So I guess the answer to the question is I would rather the Bulls start Ayo over Dragic, but I think the more practical answer is having Dragic start over Ayo. Next, we've got Isaiah Caddy. I feel like a lot of people will have certain feelings for this one. Would you rather kick Grayson Allen in the face for the crap he pulled on Alex Caruso, or Grayson Allen suspended for a full year for what he did to Alex Caruso? I mean, I know none of you know me personally, but I'm not one for violence at all. I can't stand Grayson Allen and the garbage that he pulled that took Caruso out for weeks on end, and I can't stand the guy because we all know his shenanigans and the dirty plays that he's pulled in the past. But even still, like, no, I'm not going to kick another human being in the face for something like that. To be honest, I'd rather him just decline big time in his NBA career, start playing like trash, and be out of the league within a year. So I would much prefer that over him being even suspended for a full season, which we know would never happen anyway. For me, I just want him to start sucking at basketball and be out of the league. That would be some great revenge, in my opinion. Next, we've got TJ Views. Would you rather own the Chicago Bulls 100% or own the Bulls 50% and another 50% with another famous person who knows how to run a franchise? Well, obviously, I would just rather own the team outright at 100%, but at the same time, I also acknowledge that I have zero experience on how to own/run a franchise, although sometimes I feel like I would do a better job than the Reinsdorfs. But at the end of the day, yeah, I wouldn't really know what the hell I was doing, and to have another well-known, experienced executive to own it with you would be the way to go. I think co-owning the team with, say, someone like Jerry West would be incredible, as he's a brilliant executive and obviously a former player who has been working in this industry for over 50 years now. So yeah, I guess I would rather co-own the team with someone else that actually knew what they were doing. Next, we've got Dontavius Stapleton. If you could only pick one of these two players with the most pressure on them to perform, would you rather Pat Williams or Nikola Vucevic have a bigger impact on the Bulls this year? For me, it really all depends on the level of impact that each of them provide. Like, I'm going to take whichever player actually provides a bigger impact. I don't necessarily care who it is, but whatever player shows up the most and contributes to more winning for the team, I'm taking them. I mean, I would like to see Patrick take that next step and be a huge impact for the Bulls, because that would be good sign for the future for the Bulls over, say, someone like Vucevic, who is going to be 32 and on an expiring contract. But again, I don't really care who it is. It's whoever is providing the bigger impact on the court between the two players. I'm going to end it there for this edition of Would You Rather, guys. Appreciate you all for leaving your comments, and apologies for those that I wasn't able to get to. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.